Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Sashes&Scripts, inviting everyone to another wonderful episode on the need for the categorization of the alpha or the big pageants of Miss Universe, Miss International, Miss Earth, and Miss World. So, welcome. So before we begin, please hit the like and subscribe button on our channel so you're updated with our regular content. Okay? So, it is a big question nowadays is there still a need for the categorization of pageants from minor to major pageants, and why is still important? And this conversation came about simply because of the changes in pageantry, because of the polls that two of the biggest pageant portals have been asking over the past few weeks. And the question of Missology, whether or not they need to expand their concept of the Big Five into the Big Six, has also prompted, I believe, Sash Factor to ask, or rather to expand their categorization of the Alpha 4 pageants into the Alpha 6, which now includes the Miss Grand International and the Miss Supranational pageants. So we now ask the question, is there a need for categorization? So before we come into our own opinion on that, we have first to maybe clarify why do we need such categorization. So first and foremost, among the reasons why is there a need for categorization is it provides a clarity for pageant girls and pageant fans alike that there is a categorization that helps navigate fans in the very expansive and the very multiple competitions that is now present. Back in maybe 20, 30, or even 40 years ago, we only have perhaps 4 or 3 or even 2 major international competitions that we are well aware of. I remember during the 1990s, there were 3 major pageants that is pretty much popular in the Philippines, and that includes the Miss International, the Miss Universe pageant, as well as the Miss Asia Pacific Quest. And then towards the latter part of the 90s, when the Binibining Pilipinas organization has acquired the franchise for the Miss World pageant, that was when we suddenly are more aware of the historical nature of the Miss World pageant, and therefore our understanding and our appreciation of the so-called heritage pageants has expanded. Now, having a categorization also helps us to have a clear set of expectation on the level of the competition, the exposure, and the potential career opportunities, because we have a set of pageants that we consider as the big pageants. Now, in terms of the standardization of these pageants, we recognize that this hierarchy allows us to have a sense of order among different pageants. So we can definitely categorize and segregate each pageant depending on how large the scale of the production is, how large the scale of the countries that are participating in the pageant, as well as we can fragment further if these pageants are only relegated to a certain regional area like the Reina Hispano-Americana competition, or perhaps the back then when Miss Asia Pacific Quest would only accept countries within the Asia Pacific region. So it allows us to have a standard definition on what are the pageants that we consider big versus, or rather, pageants that we consider minor versus major. And also, it also helps with the marketing and the media attention that these pageants have. And I think that is self-explanatory on itself. Now, there are also advantages when we categorize the alpha pageants or the big pageants versus the minor pageants. One is definitely because of prestige and credibility. When you are when you have the moniker as one of the Big Five or one of the Alpha 4 pageants, you suddenly are boosted in terms of your image. You're suddenly elevated in terms of your position as a competition as a whole. It gives, industry, or rather it gives people outside the pageant industry a clue on the prestige or the level of prestige that you offer as a competition. And I think that is a good thing. However, there is also a ready-made set of expectations that accompanies having been named as one of the Big Five or one of the Alpha 4 pageants. And this is, sometimes a difficult position to be in, because you cannot slip down in terms of the quality of your production. You cannot make major mistakes or be involved in major scandals, because this would definitely affect the image of your brand as a pageant. Another advantage, definitely, of being named as a major or as a Big Five or an Alpha pageant is that you attract quality contestants. And when you attract quality contestants, then you attract quality winners. It also gives an opportunity for your winners to have a better career outside of pageantry once their reigns are over. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of people would recognize people like Gal Gadot, who after her reign as Miss Israel, after her competition at Miss Universe in the 2000s, she is immediately recognized by pageant fans when she was named as the actress for the Wonder Woman role. Another alum of pageantry is Halle Berry, who won her Oscar in the 2000s, who is recognized as one of the more immediate recognizable faces in Hollywood, who also was a Miss USA runner-up. And then we have several other Miss World winners, much like Aishwarya Rai and Priyanka Chopra, of course, who have had great careers in Hollywood and in Bollywood. So being named as a Alpha pageant immediately boosts your recognizability, and thus attracts more quality contestants in your competition. It also, is a great resume padding, especially for the girls, because major pageants usually score bigger sponsorships, bigger prize money, more lucrative endorsements in terms of brands and labels that they can work with. As well as the fact that for the four major pageants, Miss Earth, Miss International, Miss World, and Miss Universe, is able to shape cultural narratives, able to control conversations on sustainability, on environment, and highlight social causes and celebrate diversity. And this is one of the reasons, definitely, why there is an advantage when it comes to categorizing major and minor pageants. However, there is also a conversation on who dictates and who spearheads the narrative on who gets to be the Alpha pageant, or who gets to be the one who will name with authority who gets to be part of the Big Five or the Alpha pageants. As I've said, there are challenges to such categorization as a minor or a major pageant, because one, there is a question of subjectivity. Sometimes, if you are qualified or you are named as a major pageant or a Alpha pageant, it may vary dependent on which continent, which country you are in. In certain cases, in Latin America, Miss Universe is one of the highest regarded pageants. In Europe, it's the Miss Earth and the Miss World pageants. In Africa, it's a mixture of Miss World and Miss Universe. So this narrative that who gets to dictate which pageant is considered an Alpha pageant is quite difficult to really narrow down in terms of who gets the authority or who is the authoritative voice that should dictate which are considered as the Alpha or the minor pageants. Another thing is that there is a potential of marginalization of the pageants in itself, because newer pageants might struggle in terms of being recognized, in terms of being respected as a newbie pageant, because there are more established pageants who have history that is longer than 20, 30, or even 40 years. Then there is also a pressure. Definitely there will be a pressure, especially for candidates who are competing at the Alpha pageants, because expectations are higher, and with a higher level of competition among girls, then definitely there is a higher expectation for each girl to perform at their best. And sometimes this may lead to unhealthy mental attitudes and unhealthy activities or unhealthy pressures on the candidates themselves. So we really need to talk and discuss first who gets to name who is the alpha pageants. And this sometimes rely heavily on the people, the pageant fans and the pageant communities, on who they accept and who they, as a community, dictate in their own conversations on which pageants is considered to be in the alpha category. Now let's go on to the conversation. Should the concept of alpha pageants be expanded to 6 or 7 competitions? Personally, I believe that categorizing pageants into several categories is healthy because it promotes competition among these pageants. And when there is healthy competition, there is no monopoly of choice in terms of which pageant gets the best girls in their competition. However, I also believe that there is an unhealthy way of categorization in pageants, especially if some pageants have, personal or financial relationships on the organizations that name the pageants or rather, organizations that categorizes these pageants. So I believe that in order to create a better categorization of the alpha and major pageants, this should be dictated not by pageant organizations but the pageant fans and the pageant community themselves. I believe that fans have a better understanding on which pageant they would invest their time and their support in, and it allows as well the choice for the pageant fans as a majority as compared to just a selected few in terms of an organization. So personally, I still believe in the concept of the Alpha 4 pageants, although Sash Factor, I believe, has already expanded this to the Alpha 6, which includes the Miss Supranational and the Miss Grand International pageants. I also believe that there is only 3 heritage pageants that has been able to survive throughout the years, and that is the Miss International, the Miss World and Miss Universe pageants being the 3 oldest international competitions. But I also believe that there is room for growth. When I say that, I believe that each pageant, especially the younger and newer pageants, should be able to build on the goodwill that they have been able to create throughout the years, and also provide a reason why they are still socially relevant these days. Because nowadays, with a lot of pageants that has been popping here and there, both on the female and the male pageant side, I think that there is a need for pageants to prove themselves as socially relevant. Ultimately, our understanding of pageantry and our appreciation of pageantry should be able to be part of the discourse on which pageant should we consider as alpha or big 5 or big 4, and who are the pageants that we can name or deem or brand as the upcoming pageants. And I think there is a healthy conversation on this if we are only able to give our points in a very mature and intelligent manner. And we need as well to create a sense of criteria and categorization in the categorization of pageants. So not only should we include in the conversation on the requirements to be called a alpha pageant, like its prestige, its history, and its popularity or global recognition. But we also have to include as well the quality of the candidates, their social relevance, and what they stand for as an organization, so that when we create a distinctive and very respectful decision on which pageant should be considered the creme of the creme. So the next time that we have a debate on which pageant should we consider as alpha or a big 4, big 5 pageant, then we have a criteria on where and how to measure them, and that will in itself bring us to a better categorization, a better decision on which pageant should remain or should be included into the major pageants versus the minor or the upcoming international competitions. So I hope that this video is something that had made clear on this question, and I do hope that before we end this video, please hit the like and subscribe button so that we continue to grow our community here on YouTube. So thank you very much for your support and see you in our next video. Bye everyone.